So today I'll be showing you guys how to make tomato and tofu, and it's one of my favorite things to cook. It's super fast, super quick, and super delicious. The other thing I'm going to be making is chicken and bell pepper. So let's get right into it. So the three ingredients that you really need for tomato and tofu is literally tofu, tomato, and this Maggi seasoning. It's kind of like soy sauce, but a little bit stronger flavored. You don't need water, you don't need anything else, and you just need a little pot to be able to obviously cook this in. So we're gonna cut the tomato into wedges, like so. So just one small tomato, one medium-sized tomato is enough. You don't want the tomato to be too big, otherwise it's gonna make your stew super sour and tomatoey. But tomato is honestly one of my favorite things to use because it's so flavorful. It has this natural umami flavor to it. And we're also gonna cut open the tofu, like so. So for the tofu, we actually have to cut it before we put it into the pot, just so that it retains its shape. We don't want it to like all fall out and then become one big chunk, and then we have to break it up in the pot. What we want to do is slice it up into even squares, like so. We're gonna heat up the pot to about medium to medium high heat. I'm gonna add a little bit of oil so the tomato and everything doesn't stick. So for the next step, we're gonna have to put the tomatoes in first and let it give the oil some flavor. So you're gonna hear a little bit of sizzling. Don't be afraid. Okay, so it's been about 2 minutes. The tomatoes are a little bit softer now. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the tofu that I cut up earlier, and I'm just going to pour it all in, including the juices and everything. Because we want as much of the liquid from the tofu to be in this pot as possible, because we're not adding any water, we're not adding any liquids at all. It's literally just tofu and tomato. And into this, we're gonna add a little bit of the Maggi seasoning. Usually I do about 10 shakes of this. So what I would do is usually I cover up the lid and just shake it around in there a little bit. And once it's boiling, you wanna turn it down to medium heat. Medium to medium low heat, and just keep it on the stove for about 15 minutes and it'll be ready after that. Okay, so for the second recipe, we're gonna need a couple more ingredients than the first one. We're gonna need maybe an onion. Well, we do need an onion, but you don't really have to put the onion in if you don't want to. But the main ingredient is gonna be chicken thigh. So here I have about 3 or 4 chicken thighs. You don't really need this many. You can usually use about 2 or 3 depending on how many people you're cooking for. Usually when I'm alone, I usually cook 2 or 3 for myself because I eat a lot. I need some garlic for flavoring, some ginger, and for texture I usually use a little bit of cashews, or you can use peanuts. And one of the secret things is ingredients is this green peppercorn. So this gives a really numbing flavor to the dishes that you usually cook. And yeah, not a lot of people know about this. Usually people put Sichuan peppercorn, but it doesn't give that numbing flavor that this green peppercorn does. So this is going to be really flavorful when we add it in. And as a vegetable, we're going to have red bell pepper. And this is pretty much the Chinese salt and pepper. Like, this is in everything. Some sesame oil. And we also need a little bit of potato starch. So this is really useful for coating the meat to make sure it doesn't dry out when we're stir frying it. Okay, so let's first cut up the meat. Usually I just cut it in half and do whatever, you know. Just get it into like sizes about this big. So for the marinade, I'm just gonna add a little bit of soy sauce, some salt, not too much, just some salt for flavor. And this is some sesame oil. I'm gonna add a little drizzle of sesame oil. It's really strong flavor, so not too much. Perfect. And to combine it all together, I'm gonna add some potato starch. This is just gonna keep the moisture in when we start stir frying the chicken. Okay, I'm gonna mix this all together until it's evenly coated. And if you want, you can actually add beer in here. We can add cooking wine, something to get rid of the meat flavor, the chickeny flavor. Again, this is cooking with Henry. Okay, so the pan's hot now, and we're gonna add the peppercorn, the green peppercorns like we said before. We're gonna add a handful of it. We're gonna add a generous amount because we want to have that really numbing flavor. Okay, so starting to smell really good. And now we can add the chicken thighs that we cut up earlier and marinated. And we should hear this sizzling sound once you put it in. You want the pan, that's why you want the pan to be hot. You don't want it to be cold and boiling up the chicken at the bottom. You want it to be as hot as possible and have it cook immediately when you put it in. So keep your heat up high all the time. When the chicken's about 80% cooked, when you see the color, the raw color going away, now's the time to add the vegetables. So I cut up some onions and some bell pepper earlier. So I'm just gonna put it all in, like so. And once it's in, just continue to stir fry. Because once you put the vegetables in, the pan starts cooling down a little bit. And now's also a good time to start adding the garlic and the ginger that we cut up earlier. It should just be wafting towards you, that aroma. That garlic, ginger, soy sauce, everything. Just add a spoonful of this. And it's just going to give it this really beautiful red, brown color that you see in Chinese dishes all the time. You can definitely add some sugar to this. Oh, whoops. I don't know what fell over there. Maybe some sugar to sweeten it up a little bit. Okay, so it's ready to be plated now. Get a beautiful white plate. The tofu is now swollen up a little bit. You see the little holes in it? That's perfect. That's what we wanted. That's the consistency we wanted. So when we pour that out, we're gonna see that it's actually quite soupy. It's actually quite soupy. And the soup is all red now. Beautiful. Super easy. I didn't have to do anything. And we're gonna garnish it with a little bit of spring onion. Like so. Just adds a little bit of flavor and color to it. So this is ready.